Schiff, thank you so much for joining us here at the Vancouver Resource Investment Conference.
Well, thanks for having me. It's nice to see you again.
And you're a great panelist yesterday on the Ultimate Gold panel. We're going to talk gold in a bit, but you know, I interview you a lot, and one of the comments I often get is, hey, Peter has been saying that we're going to have an economic collapse for years, that gold's going above 5,000 for years, but recently you came out and responded to these scoffers.
Well, that's not recent. I mean, I've been responding for a long time. But of course, nobody can come out and say, hey, we're headed for an economic crisis, and then the crisis hits tomorrow. Right? Obviously, you see trends that are building. Right? You see a problem forming well in advance. It's like if you go to a doctor and let's say you're smoking and you're overweight and you don't exercise, they can make some forecasts about your health and maybe these bad things are going to happen. That doesn't mean that you're going to get cancer the next day, but obviously if you do things that are bad for your health, there is going to be a toll, and ultimately something's going to happen. And so I see the same thing with the economy. We're doing a lot of things that are very bad, that are going to we're making us very sick. And we're going to succumb to the disease, but it doesn't mean we're going to succumb tomorrow. But I don't think anything that has actually happened in the real world has contradicted anything that I've been saying. I think all of the problems that I've diagnosed in the U.S. economy have just gotten worse since I diagnosed them. And so ultimately, we're going to suffer the fate that I have been predicting.
Government shutdown.
Yes.
When will the drama end?
Well, I don't know. I mean, unfortunately, the government is not really shut down. It's still open. That is the bigger problem. If we could actually shut it down, that would be a positive. But it is inconvenient for a lot of people, and it is a lot of political theater. And ultimately, it ends up costing taxpayers more money to shut the government down than to leave it open. So it's actually worse because it's a phony shutdown. But I don't know when the drama is going to end. But that's all it is. It's theater. It's the Democrats and the Republicans posturing against one another, to basically in advance of the 2020 election about who's going to get the blame for the shutdown, and anything bad that happens in the economy, well, they can also blame it on the shutdown and point fingers at whose fault it is. And I think the Democrats think, well, we can easily blame Trump, and Trump wants to blame the Democrats. But, none of this is the real, problem. It is a distraction. It's like a sideshow, and it basically deflects people's attention from what they should really be worrying about, not the shutdown or the wall.
Turning to gold, I mentioned it yesterday during the panel, mainstream media loving gold again. We're seeing billionaires who never bought gold before buying gold now, central banks that never bought gold entering into the space here. What do you make of it?
Well, I think you're overstating the love affair. I mean, there might be a couple of people who are saying they're buying gold.
Compared to the rest of the year, I mean, people are talking about gold again.
Yeah, very few people are talking about it. And when it's mentioned, normally, people just dismiss it or discredit it. In fact, the fact that a couple of people are talking about buying it, I mean, maybe it's a novelty. So I think that it makes sense, that some people are now finally looking at it. A lot more people should be looking at it. And I think ultimately that is going to happen as the price of gold moves higher. More importantly, though, as the problems begin to manifest themselves in ways that hurt investors in a more meaningful way, whether it's the decline in the value of their stocks. Now that we've entered a bear market, we're now in a correction. We're having a rally in a bear market in the U.S., but I think this is early in the bear market. So as that grinds down, as we make new lows, and as inflation really starts to take a toll on the real value of people's savings and their investments, of not just their stocks, but in particular their bonds, their savings, the cash value of their insurance policies, maybe their annuities or their pensions. As inflation starts to erode away their purchasing power, more and more people are going to wake up to the benefits of owning gold.
Peter Schiff, thank you so much.